All right, so before we get started on this video, I was initially going to handle this like the past few extended cuts. It was just going to be a more extended cut of the tutorial compared to whatever I put on the main channel. But I decided to try and just do the tutorial here and just do the review on the main channel. This is still definitely going to feel like an extended cut tutorial. It won't be like super in depth, but the like editing style is going to be the same as second channel videos. There are kind of three parts to this video: the tutorial, an explanation of something that happened with the tutorial after the tutorial, you'll know in a second, and then I'll mess around with the gameplay that you're probably seeing on screen right now because I'm about to record that. But anyways, enjoy the tutorial, and I'll see you guys later. We've got a GBA HDMI kit. Some of us would call it a consolizer kit, but cool. It's by Intech Gaming, which I don't think this is the same Intech from back in the day, unless I'm just completely thinking of a different company. But I think Intech was a company that made like third-party accessories. I think they made the screens that attach to consoles, but I guess now they're making consolizer kits. I think it's a different company. I don't know. But it's nicely packaged, and you can get it for $100 on Amazon right now. There's a link in the description, hopefully. There's an orange and a blue variant. It's more of a turquoisey blue. I went with the orange. They both have like the smoke gray clear plastic bottom. And it's nice and foam padded. It comes with a whole pamphlet that tells you everything you need to know. You don't need to watch this video. And then you've got the board that's going to go in the new orange shell. And then this board will actually go in your controller or your console, your handheld. You will actually get to reuse your shell if you want to. I guess you don't have to, but it will turn it into a controller that uses an SNES port. I guess that means you could also use this on an SNES. I'm curious to try that now. And then I'm going to assume, yeah, it's just a bunch of cables in here. And we got new membranes. That's cool. Bunch of stuff in there. We got an HDMI cable that, yep, is the very basic one that a lot of companies include. It's not a good HDMI cable, but it'll do the job just fine. And then you've got the AV cables through the 3.5 millimeter jack, I guess. I think that's 3.5 millimeters. I assume it's the same as the headphone. You've got what looks like a really long cable for your new controller that we'll build. We've got a fairly long USB-C to USB-A cable, I'm assuming for power. No power brick comes with it. And if you don't have the necessary screwdrivers, they include it in an anti-static bag for some reason. These are the very basic ones that come with almost every Game Boy mod kit. They suck, but they do the job just fine. They're just not comfortable. They're tiny. I'd rather use my iFixit Protect toolkit. We've got two ribbon cables because there are two different types of Game Boy Advance motherboards. Oh, you even get an eraser with it. That is funny. We'll talk about this eraser more in a bit. You've got some actually decent aftermarket membranes, which is cool. I'm guessing these are for power and the sync button for controllers. We've got some screws, I'm assuming the external and internal screws. We got B and C. We've got an alcohol pad. Dude, you need nothing. That is cool. And then we got the rubber feet. Oh, there's some more screws. Okay. Wow. Okay. So you actually don't need anything. You can just buy the kit. You technically do not need anything. I would still recommend some paper towels and some isopropyl alcohol because it's going to do a little bit better at cleaning things than this will. But it comes with literally everything you need for the job. That is so cool. Can't say the same for other kits, but I've never seen anyone include an alcohol pad. It's ethyl alcohol instead of isopropyl. I don't know if that's really any different. It's 75%. I think it should work fine, but I'm going to use my alcohol anyways. So we're going to get our tri-wing out, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tri-wing screws to take care of. And then we've got one Phillips head down here. Technically JIS, whatever. Don't care. It works. And we can lift that up. I like to keep the screws in it just so it keeps it all nice and neat. I don't know if we're going to need to reuse the screws here. Probably for the controller. We'll see. I'm just going to leave them in their spots. For now, you can organize them off to the side if you'd rather. But we've got 3, in this case, 3 Phillips heads on the inside. Yours might just have 2. but they will only appear in either of these 3 spots. We can just go ahead and remove those, and I will organize them off to the side over here. Doesn't really matter though. Then we can take our thumbs and we can just push these 2 tabs up until they are as far out as possible. They're not going to go that far. And then we can pull this ribbon cable out. If you're wanting to keep your screen intact, try not to pinch it. If you're struggling to get it out like me, you can stick your screwdriver in there and pop it out. Or when you go to lift the motherboard out, it'll probably just fall out unless the bail isn't fully lifted. Don't force anything. And now we've got that disassembled. If you need even more help than this extended cut, this will tell you everything you need to know. It has the whole parts list, so you can make sure you've got everything there. It shows you where all the screws are. It only says there's 2. There could be a 3rd one, or just the 2nd one could be in a different spot like I showed earlier. And here, now that we're in the motherboard, funny enough, it shows you how to clean the pads before you actually remove the motherboard. Doesn't make sense to me. That's a little bit out of order. That's all right. That's what I'm here for. And just like I thought, we can go ahead, make sure all of the little pieces are staying in there, but we can remove the membranes. I am probably going to swap out the shell and buttons at a later point off camera. I don't have any original shells cleaned right now, and I'm not going to do that right now. I might have some B-roll of me cleaning one in the future. Probably go with an orange one to match the actual console I'm building. But for instruction's sake, I'll go ahead and take these out. We can put the A and B membranes in. We can put the D-pad membranes in. And we can put start and select membranes in. You can always go a little crazy and get a different shell. If you want a UV print or something up there, or you just want a different color than whatever your Game Boy is, I'll have links to shells and buttons I recommend down below. You can also clean and reuse your original membranes if you'd rather. I think these will do just fine, but if they don't, if they suck for some reason, I will let you know in either one of these videos, probably both. But we can get this motherboard out, the one that looks more like a controller. This is a very, very basic motherboard, but that's all we need. It's cool that it has vias there, so if you want to mess around with soldering, you can do that, I guess. Oh, those are some very clicky LNRs. I don't know if I like that, to be honest. We'll see. We can also take our SNES cable here. It's this one. When we want to take the side with the notches facing up and click that into place, just like that. Only goes in one way, so again, don't force it. Then we can go ahead and put that down into place. This will also only go in one way. Make sure all of the side pieces fit in. Don't have to worry about the screen connector there. I'm gonna unravel this just a little bit so I can get that cable out of the way, and the R button is trying to escape again. No, that's the L button, my bad. Then we should be able to fit this in the link port hole. It's probably not gonna be an amazing fit just because it doesn't look like it's shaped for it. Could be wrong. And we can put our 3 Phillips screws back in those holes. They're in the same spot and they're marked with the white circles. And then we can put the back half back on. Okay. So that's where we went wrong. So it doesn't matter which side you put this in. I don't really know how to explain it other than one side is more flat than the other. And you want to put the more flat side in the front half. Now we can put the back half back down, and that should actually work. I'm going to screw down the black Phillips head in the bottom, swap back over to my tri-wing, and take care of those last 6 screws. Same places as last time. And, oh, maybe I'm doing this wrong, but this cable does not fit in super flush. It's kind of bending right here. I don't know if you can see that. It's just a little bit of a gap. Maybe if I force it down a little more, it'll be better. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely want to swap out to a better shell, at least a cleaner looking shell. So I'll do that later off camera. But, okay. The clickiness isn't very loud, but there's no travel to it. I don't like that. I might see if I can like snap some of those off just to give it a little bit more travel. But there's the controller part of it. Done. Halfway there, kind of. From here, I recommend cleaning up your board with some isopropyl alcohol. Toothbrushes and Q-tips work great for this. I'm going to use a paper towel here. You can spray the board directly or you can spray the towel. You can do both. And then I like to clean up the gold pads on the motherboard. That's where your buttons are pressed, so you want them to be nice and shiny. But also there's a bunch of other gold pads all around here that are little test points that you also want to be nice and shiny. You might also want to clean up the cart slot, which would pretty much require a toothbrush to get in there. But for now, I think that's probably good enough. If you don't have any of that stuff, again, included alcohol pad, that should work just fine on these, as well as an eraser, because apparently erasers erase oxidization. I don't know. Oxidation. Let me know which one it is in the comments down below. Now from here, there's a forked path, but don't worry because we'll get right back together immediately after the step. The Game Boy Advance has two different types of boards, a 40-pin board and a 32-pin board. Mine's a 40-pin. You can see it right in the corner, right underneath this connector here. It'll say 40 or 32. We've got two ribbon cables here. We've got a smaller one and a bigger one. I'll let you guys figure out which one's the 40-pin and which one's the 32-pin. But no matter which one you're using, we're going to put this pin side up in this connector here. You should barely see any of the gold appear on this one. Normally, you would see a little bit of gold on IPS mods, but for this, I guess it's a little shorter. And then we can lock those two tabs down with our fingernails. And those tabs should be nice and flush with the rest of the connector. This would also be a good time to clean your power switch if you haven't done that, but this is a solderless kit, so I understand people aren't going to want to do that. But this is how you clean your power switch. I have it in short form. And now we can get out our other board. This is what that looks like. We've got two connectors here, a 32-pin and a 40-pin. This is a different style of connector. This one you lift and it'll open up like a book, but it's going to stop when it goes straight up. So don't force it all the way down. And this one will plug in pin side down. So it's going to look like this. Push it in as far as you can, which will look about this far. And then you can close it back down by closing the book. Now we are all connected. And then we're going to want to flip this over like so. Sorry, I cut it off there. Now that we have our board laid out like this, we're going to want to flip the speaker out like this because it's going to get in our way in a second. And then we're going to flip the board over like so. There are holes over here for your L and R buttons to fall through. And it's not going to have like a nice spot to click into, but we're going to get the bag out that has the label A on it. There should only be 2 screws in there. And we're going to take our Phillips head and we're going to put a screw in this hole with the X through it. And hopefully we can find the actual screw post for this. This just doesn't feel right at all. But that's why I'm doing it first, so you don't break your Game Boy. Then we're going to take the other screw and put it in this hole in between all these capacitors. Then we're going to once again try and find that screw post. And I guess we're locked in. And you probably noticed all of those other smaller, thinner pins all along our blue board. Those actually allow us to do this mod without any soldering. They're called pogo pins, and what they do is they make contact with all of the points on the board that we would normally need to solder to, and just press into them with some good contact, and it has a connection. I don't know how else to explain it. It's pretty cool. But back to the tutorial. One thing we're going to need to do is just remove the speaker entirely. I don't know why they didn't have us do that first, but if you have some scissors or flush cutters, you can literally just cut them off. But for me, I'm just going to twist it back and forth. These wires are pretty old and weak, and they'll eventually just come off. Make sure nothing's shorting there, meaning there's no connection between these two holes that we just ripped the wires out of. We can put that speaker off to the side, and I'm going to reuse that in another project. And we're going to want to make sure our volume wheel is all the way up. And we have a handy dandy little plus and minus guide on the new board. So all the way to the left. And then we're going to want to have the power switch on all the way to the left, because we will have volume controls with our TV. And this new board gives us power controls. So everything's good to go. Now we can get out our new shell, the console shell. Warning, keep this bag away from children. And we've got 2 halves. That's it. I like how it says, take out the new GBA console housing. Make sure the buttons are correctly installed. You're not going to give us instructions on how to do that? I guess that's up to me. But we've got a power button that has 3 pins. And this has 3 pins. So we're just going to shove that in there. The other one has 4 pins. And I guess these all just only slot in one way. Like so. Cool. So we're going to take the board and the shell like this. This switch here is to the 16:9 side. So I want to make sure that the plastic switch is also to the 16:9 side. And I'm just going to hold my finger there. And we're going to put the motherboard in like this. And we're going to slot this side in first. And hopefully you can get those ports into their holes like that. And then you should be able to just slot it in perfectly. That was pretty easy, pretty breezy, pretty beautiful. Cover girl. And now we can get out the B bag that has 3 Phillips head screws in here. And if you didn't notice, there are 3 circles on the blue board. Those are going to be where we put those 3 screws. And another bad tip in the instructions, it tells you to make sure that that 16:9 switch, the aspect ratio switch, is lined up after they tell you to screw it down. And then just double check that your volume wheel is all the way up. Mine was not. And make sure that your power switch is all the way on, which mine was not. I guess I should have said in the beginning that you should make sure that your Game Boy Advance is working. We're pretty much done here. We're just going to take our back half, plop that down. Only goes in one way. I feel like you can figure that out. It doesn't really click into place. Like it kind of makes a sound, but I think we're just going to have to screw it together. So I'm going to assume that we need to take the C bag out, being the last bag of screws, and there's 4 of them, and there's 4 screw holes. So I'm going to drop those in there. If you want to start with one corner, go to the next corner, another corner, then the last corner. Everything almost perfectly lines up. I mean, it's going to be functional either way. Oh, I could also screw it down a little more too. Okay, now all those are tight, but there's still like a little bit of panel gaps. Tesla has those too though, don't worry. And this is going to be our sync button because there is Bluetooth on here. You can use a PS4 controller, an Xbox One controller. I assume pretty much any Bluetooth controller you can use. The Switch Pro controller. We've got our power button over here. Apparently this is an intake or exhaust or something. This isn't going to get that warm, I don't think. Oh, yeah, and I guess we can also put our rubber feet on now that we're done. Maybe wait until you've confirmed that this works before you put your rubber feet on, but I'm a high roller like that. Yeah, that's slightly annoying that that doesn't line up well, but oh well. But what's pretty cool is they also give you a bunch of tips for troubleshooting. I have not seen an IPS kit manufacturer do that. I have not seen retailers do that. Apparently, that's just my job. So that's pretty cool. And for the different controllers, your Xbox, yep, DualSense works too, apparently. Switch Pro and our new GBA controller. It'll give you the button layout. One thing that I don't really like is that the home buttons are start, except for on the Xbox controller. For the PlayStation controllers, why is the options button not the start button? And for the Switch Pro controller, why is it not plus and minus? Instead, it's home button and share. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm going to use the Game Boy Advance controller because that was the way that these games were meant to be played. You're not going to need any batteries for this, but it'd probably still be nice to have a battery cover if you have one. It'd be cool if they made this board in a wireless variant, but that seems pretty long. 6 feet, I'm guessing. Probably a little longer than 6 feet. 6.5 feet. We'll go with 6.5. That's my guess. You still have access to your link port. You have HDMI and AV out, which is sick. USB-C for power, not micro USB or anything like that, even though honestly, I don't really mind micro USB. One thing I want to know is what is the USB power that it wants? How much power do they want me to put into this thing? Okay, it says DC in 5 volts. So I'm sure that any 5 volt, 1 amp, 2 amp brick is going to work just fine. Honestly, I'll probably just plug this USB into like my PlayStation or Xbox because that'll probably give it enough power. It only takes 5 volts. That's all it needs. You can get that from another console. And I'm assuming that this probably isn't your only console. And that way I only need to plug it in when I'm going to play this. I didn't line up my rubber feet that well. Yeah, okay. So I said panel gaps aren't that big of a deal, but in this case, no pun intended, it might be a little annoying because where I'm having the panel gap is where you put the cartridge in. So since it's got a little bit of a bump there, I mean, it works. There's just a little more resistance when you plug it in. So not a huge fan of that, but it could just be my shell. I don't know. It has the notches for the different link cable attachments, which is pretty cool. It's nice. Not everybody thinks of that. Could you use this for like the GameCube to GBA adapter? I mean, you probably can. You'd need two screens to use it, at least to use it effectively. And no, it's not going to go on the screen. All right. So I tried to do like a normal second channel recording to like explain and like figure out how to make the LNR triggers better in case yours ends up like mine. I don't know if this is how they all are or if it's just me in this case. But if you're having problems with LNR, what I did, and it does require soldering, is I just ended up removing both L and R. I had to desolder both the switches for L and R. And then I put in SP buttons, and I was just going to replace the like insert to be a little longer because the black piece on the switch that actually presses into the metal, that can be removed if it's soft and squishy. And I was just going to remove that with a taller version from the Advance. But even then, just like how they put it and how they made the board just doesn't work exactly like a regular Game Boy Advance. I think it's the board that needs work more than anything. But either way, I ended up super gluing some other little black pieces from other switches like these. Something hard plastic that you can fit into the hole of the gray pieces. I know I'm not doing the best job of explaining this right now, but it's better than what I initially recorded, I promise. You just need to extend that piece a little bit so then the SP button will actually be hit. It's a jank setup, I know. But the good news is there's so many controllers you can use with this, and I'm sure you probably have another controller. I'm going to assume that this isn't your only console. If it is, wow, let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, it's not a great setup, but this actually does feel like perfect with the SP buttons for L and R, and it's just a little bit extended in the plastic piece. You might have to mess around with it because there's no like perfect way to do it, and I'm sure everybody's controller is going to be different. But hey, this works for me, and I'm actually really happy with the controller now, other than it's a really long cable that still isn't quite long enough for my home setup. But when I'm at a desk, it is really long for no good reason. Let's play some games, because I've been sitting at the desk doing some voiceover work and staring at Super Mario jumping around. I'm going to be playing in 16:9 just because I do think it looks a little bit better, but I guess you can see right here, it's just a flip of a switch. It looks too scrunched to me like this. I don't know. It doesn't look that bad. I kind of make a big deal out of how it's not 2x3 in the video, but I don't know. It's really not that big of a deal to me. But I know for some people, it is a huge deal. Oh gosh. Can I get back up? Oh yeah. Where does he go? I've also never actually played Super Mario World before. Well, that's not true. I haven't played through Super Mario World. One thing I will say is don't expect this to be like super high resolution. I want to say it goes to 720p, which is fine. I actually don't know what the spec of this is. I was not that came out so fast. Iggy, do I have to knock him off? Dude, he's in the lava. Oh my man. But yeah, it's a little fuzzy. There's a little bit of fuzz going on the screen. That's all right. Overall, it doesn't look too bad. I haven't yet tried it on my CRT, and I'm pretty excited to try it on there. No, dude. Okay, well, I've got enough footage of Super Mario World. We'll just hit the power button, turn it back on. Hopefully my monitor doesn't switch back to my PC. There we go. That is one thing that's annoying. And I thought it was just like the TV I was playing on. But you may have noticed there that when I turned it off and turned it back on, you don't get the full animation for the boot. It just like pretty much will only show like Game Boy for a half a second. And then it's already loading into the game. It's kind of annoying. There's definitely some like minor annoyances in a lot of places with this game. Don't judge my save file. This was the first Metroid game I ever played. This is literally the save file from when I first played it. I would like to say it's from childhood, but this was like 2 years ago. Dude, there was no one there, and you're telling me there's just someone coming out of that door, and I gotta watch my back? No? Okay. Dude, there's no one behind me, and then that's so dumb. Oh man, whoever thought, oh yeah, we'll put a bunch of bomb blocks right there. That'll be so much fun for the user. They can just sit there and have to press it over and over and over and over and over and over. That's like, it's so much fun. Woo. I remembered that time. I think I was supposed to hit the button to end this, and I'm just like doing the end sequence without the end sequence going. Oh well. I wasn't actually trying to beat the game. I just want to get some footage of me struggling to jump up. Okay, yeah. Another fun game mechanic. Huh? Isn't this fun? Don't you love it? I love this game. I'm making fun of the atrocities they made 20 years ago. Oh yeah, I forget how these guys die. Is it just a lot of shots or is it oh god. No, I don't think they get hit by razors. I don't know. I guess we'll just die to them because I'm struggling. Oh, yep. It's just a lot of beams. Cool. And now I'm almost dead. I can't. Okay. Well, I don't care that much. I don't remember how I opened that. I think maybe when I hit the button that opens. I don't know. That's enough of that game. You want to see something disgusting? All right. So here is Kirby's Dream Land, the original. It's in Japanese. And we can hit L to stretch it out. And then we can hit the 16 by 9 to stretch it out even more. This actually doesn't look that bad. Oh no. Why does this not look as bad as I thought? Maybe it's just like I'm not that used to Kirby, but this actually doesn't look bad. Why does this not look bad? Okay, well, that's all I really wanted to do. Okay, there we go. That looks disgusting. That is what I was waiting for. Why? This just looks wrong on all sorts of levels. This is disgusting. Okay, that's really all I wanted to do with that. I just wanted to show how bad this looks. Have I done this gym yet? I'm going to assume so. Or I died and didn't finish it. Yep, I've done this one. This is a problem with like not playing a Pokemon game for a while is I have no idea what I did last. I have no idea what I need to do now. I'm not familiar enough with Hoenn. Like I've played a lot of Hoenn, don't get me wrong, but I just like you know how the early Pokemon games are like all over the place with what you have to do. Like I don't know if I've talked to the champion in this cave. Have I battled this guy? Probably if he didn't catch me. Nope. This guy? I feel like I've probably gone in this cave already, especially if I have an Aaron named Aaron. Forgot about running. And it's like, do I go back with the old man? I don't think I have surf yet. No. I don't know. Maybe this will just be a good opportunity to show 16 by 9 versus a 4 by 3. And either way you look at it, it just doesn't look quite right. It's just always slightly off. And that really bugs me. I'm just like, I don't know. I guess it's nice to have the options, but you could have had like an integer scaling option. Just make 2 by 3, please. I don't really care if like all the pixels are perfectly square or whatever it needs to be. I just want it to look how it should look, you know? And I don't know which one's better. I would probably say 16 by 9 looks better to me, but I also think it depends on the game. Like I think Super Mario World it worked because Super Mario World, well, even then it's like 5 by 7 or 7 by 5, something like that. I guess that's pretty much the same. I don't know. I know Super Nintendo's like kind of a weird aspect ratio. I don't know enough about this stuff, man. I am pretty technical, but I feel like I should actually get at least one Pokemon battle in. Uh-oh. Okay, so this isn't the best matchup. Let's see. Can we do it? He needs the XP. Low kick. That's probably going to take me out. Yep. Sorry, Aaron. Tender. Wow. When did I make this same file? Oh, Peck. Beautiful. See ya. Oh, I thought these would be a double battle. All right. Well, this also isn't a great setup for me, but I'm level 20, so double kick. And while we're here, oh, okay. Well, never mind. That's the end of the battle, isn't it? Oh, no. Okay, cool. Let's change to Burb, I guess. Why do I have a Zigzagoon? Probably for HMs. I don't know. So here is what from 4 by 3 once again to 16 by 9. It just like neither of them look that bad, but they're just neither of them are perfect. I feel like if you had the on-off switch on the Game Boy controller be the 16 by 9 and 4 by 3 switch, that would be kind of cool. It's probably not something you can do over an SNES port, but this could be a USB port. It doesn't have to be an SNES. And then you have a reset switch where the headphone jack is. I think that would be cool, but alas, no. I don't know. And it's like, okay, do I want it in 4 by 3 or do I want it in 16 by 9? Now that I stared at it in 4 by 3, I think 16 by 9 looks weird. But then after a while of staring at this, I'm like, actually, that's not bad. And I swap back to 4 by 3 and I'm like, yeah, now it looks scrunched. It just nothing looks quite right. I don't know, man. I don't know. Is there any more games that I really need to get footage for? Probably should have saved that. Oh well. Well, I've got what? Are you kidding me? What? I didn't make the jump, so I'm what? That is so dumb. I just want to fast forward to the next track. I know this map because of Mario Kart Wii, and it is one of my favorite maps. So I guess Super Circuit has something going for it. I think this is just a hard game to look at nowadays. Okay, Thwomp, go up. Thank you. But once we get past these jumps, what if we put it in 16 by 9? Honestly feels the same, just full screen. Well, at least I have plenty of footage to pull from for this. I mean, the point of this section from the video was for me to just get B-roll for the main channel and to show off the gameplay a little bit. I'm sure a lot of people left already since we're at the end of the video for the second channel, but that's all right. I don't need a high percentage of watch time. I just want a good amount of watch time for the second channel because, monetization and all. As of recording, we're like less than 1,000 away from getting memberships and like 2,000, less than 2,000 away from full monetization. Watch hours, not subscribers. We're at 750 subscribers, something around there. And that was terrible. Go, 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 Green Shell. Come on, get him. Green Shell, what is that? That was the slowest Green Shell I've ever seen. Whatever. But yeah, like and subscribe and watch this video 3 times at quarter speed, and then I will be monetized by Tuesday. Thank you all for watching. If you want the full review of this product, go check out the main channel. It'll be linked in the description and probably on screen right now. My chicken nuggets are done, so I am done recording.